Well, viewers, days after India lost Border Gavaskar Trophy to Australia, sources tell Times Now that the BCCI could be formulating new guidelines for cricketers to enhance performance. As per these guidelines, sources reveal that wives or families will not be able to stay with the cricketers for the entire tour. So a cricketer's family can stay with him for a maximum of 2 weeks during the 45-day foreign tour, and all the players will travel by the team bus only. They will not be able to travel separately, and the tenure of the supporting staff will also be fixed at a maximum of 3 years. My colleague Karishma is joining us on the broadcast with the details. She's getting us this scoop. Karishma, this is one issue that could rake up a lot of divided opinions. What are the details?
Well, yes, absolutely. This could be raking up divided opinions, but at the end of the day, what is being done, what sources are telling us, is to enhance the performance of the Indian cricket team. Remember, we've had a very abysmal performance in 2024. First, we lost the Test series at home versus New Zealand, and then we've lost the Border Gavaskar Trophy as well in Australia. So, of course, there are going to be talks about what can be done to better the performance of Indian cricketers, to better the performance of Indian cricket overall, and these are some of the guidelines that have been discussed at this moment. Remember, there was a meeting in Mumbai. There was a special general meeting in Mumbai on the 12th of January, and a host of things were discussed in that meeting. New BCCI officials were also appointed in that meeting, but sources have told us that this is what has been decided in the meeting. Now, how soon is this implemented? Is there going to be further discussion on it? Are senior cricketers going to be involved with this standpoint of what was discussed in the SGM? Is everything that is going to be seen? But this is what we are learning, that the families of the cricketers will not be able to stay with the team for the entirety of the tour if it is a long tour, because we've seen even when the Border Gavaskar Trophy, the family stayed for the entire time of the tour. So this is something possibly that the BCCI wants to experiment with and see if this is going to work, enhance performance, because there is a lot of cricket that we're looking forward to. When we talk about Test cricket, there is going to be a very important series versus England as well. Then there is the T20 World Cup as well. So a lot of cricket as far as our Indian cricketers are concerned, and BCCI obviously wants better performances, and we're looking forward to the Champions Trophy as well.
Okay, all right. Karishma, I request you to stay with us. Just want to get a cricketer's perspective as well, and we have Atul Vasan, former cricketer, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us, Atul. Sources revealing that wives or families will not be able to stay with the cricketers for the entirety of the tour. That's something that the BCCI is mulling.
I think that's very fair and very practical, because they've tried everything. They've been lenient. Earlier they were even girlfriends were not allowed. Now the girlfriends are allowed. I think it's like soldiers going on the front for war. Then if the families are there, you get lumbered. Some part of your bandwidth is taken, and I think you need single focus for the thing in hand and way what you have been sent for. And I think if the board has thought about it and taken a decision, I'm in agreement.
Okay, all right. You're in agreement, but do you think that there will be some who will also raise questions on whether this puts the onus on the family, or says it's the family being blamed instead of asking the cricketers to perform on field?
Well, if some cricketers have got a problem, they can opt out of the tour. Simple as that. There can't be leniency. One rule for everybody should be the same, no matter how big star you are or not. And if you don't agree with it and you can't cope up without your families being there, then opt out of the tour.
Okay, all right. That's, you're talking tough. Is it because of the performance that India had in the Border Gavaskar Trophy? Because it clearly left a lot wanting.
Of course, I think, and this kind of a dictum must be, emanating from the analysis of the tour, what went on, and not just this tour, last 2-3 tours and what has happened, and some kind of leniency creeps in. When you allow something, players and whoever gets the benefit tries to push the envelope. And I think comes a point where people who are affected, the stakeholders, decide, if we don't do this, let's try this. And let's get everybody upon. It's a sign of being disciplined. It's a sign of being, just a case of single-mindedness focus. And I think they want to try this out, and I'm all for it.
Okay, so is this about discipline, or is it too harsh? The families being there with them during the tour, does it really affect the cricketer's schedule?
No, I don't think so. The players will feel that it helps. There is counter agreement to that. They can ease the nerves. They can have a tough day on the field and come back and be in a known surrounding and everything. But I think there must be a counter agreement that the players who are not having this comfort, and then you juxtapose the players with this comfort and the players not having the comfort. It spoils the team dynamics. And I think it has to be even for everybody. You can't provide a family to be the players who are not married and everything. So might as well, keep everybody on the same page and let's try this out. And what's the big deal? I mean, a month, and for even the longest tours are 40 days maybe. And even if you still being allowed 15 days. So I think this is pretty fair. It's a pretty justified midway.
Okay, all right. Atul Vasan, thank you for joining us with your perspective. Let me take this across to Karishma. So Karishma, Atul Vasan, former cricketer, he says, yes, it's time for some tough rules. But the question still remains, is it discipline? Is it too harsh? And, is this a decision that will be taken by the administrators because it's time to take tough decisions? Or is it a decision that will be taken after agreement with the cricketers?
Well, Pratibha, that is, of course, something that we'll wait and see if the cricketers are going to be involved, especially, of course, the senior cricketers will be involved, though, the younger cricketers will, of course, not have any say in this. But, yes, it is going to be very, very interesting to see. But the BCCI could very well go ahead and formulate these guidelines because, the Indian cricket team's performance really hasn't been up to the mark. When we talk about Test cricket, yes, we had a wonderful 6 months into 2024 when we won the T20 World Cup. But after that, India found itself in a very, very difficult position. So, of course, the administrators have all the rights to discuss and decide what is going to be the best way forward as far as Indian cricket is concerned. And like I said, this could possibly be an experiment as well to see how this works for Indian cricket. We have a big tournament, the Champions Trophy, coming up next for India. It is going to be a very, very important series for India to get back into form. Yes, Test cricket and the shorter formats are different, but at the end of the day, all Indian cricket fans want to see is the Indian cricket team winning because they have that potential. The team is very, very good. So obviously BCCI trying to brainstorm different ideas as to what is going to get this team together. Remember, in the guidelines, there is also an option of going in the same team bus as well, because there have been instances where cricketers have chosen to travel separately. So that is also something that the BCCI wants to work upon so that there is immense team bonding and they gel well as a team as well.
Okay, all right. Karishma, do request you to stay with us. We have Shishir Hartangari also joining us, former cricketer. Thank you for joining us. Do you agree with what the BCCI is mulling, that cricketers, family members, wives included, cannot stay with them for the entire course of the Border Gavaskar Trophy or any series that they're travelling for?
Oh, well, it's a given, isn't it, that when you travel as a team, you do things together, you travel together and things. But if this is a knee-jerk reaction on performance, which is in the preceding tour of Australia and before that the home series against New Zealand, if it's a knee-jerk reaction, then obviously you're searching for reasons. This should have been a non-negotiable right from day one, whatever guidelines have been set. I mean, it cannot be one of the reasons because of your poor performance. So what should have been initially a non-negotiable today becomes a non-negotiable based on the performances, which I find, in terms of decision-making, a little knee-jerk, if I may call it so.
Okay, all right, because, there will be cricketers who could oppose. What happens then? I mean, how do you think this is going to play out with the cricketers also being involved in this decision?
It's a standard operating procedure by the authorities in what they've set as guidelines. Then I don't think there's any reason for anybody to complain. Obviously, there's been some discussion on it, and but I can't attribute it to a 3-1 loss. That's all I can say. Okay,
so you're saying tough decisions need to be taken after that big loss. Thank you for joining us. We have former cricketer Kirti Azad also joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Kirti Azad, what do you think of the BCCI's plan to not allow family members to stay with the cricketers?
Why does it have to change series after series, one series, and then you decide something else? There should be a rule, a simple rule, how many days a family is allowed to stay with the cricketer. As simple as that. I mean, you start doing badly, so you start taking these decisions. What about the board members who are traveling with their families for these series?
Okay, so the decision now is after the disaster and Border Gavaskar trophies. The BCCI is now looking at options and is thinking of whether the family member should be allowed to stay for the entire duration of the 45-day tour.
No, I do agree, but why should it change series to series? If you're doing badly, then you start saying that you can't stay with your family. When you're doing well, nobody's asking questions. The question is that whether you win or you lose, winning and losing is a part and parcel of the game. The question is whether you have one certain set of rules, whether you're winning or you're losing, whether the family members can travel, if they can travel, for how many days they can travel, what duration of the tour they can travel, in the beginning or in the end. So these things have to be rules that should be set, shouldn't be changing season to season and series to series, depending upon whether you win or lose.
Okay, you're somebody who knows what the grueling schedule can be like. Do you think that when a decision like this is taken, some may argue that the onus is being put on the family members, or say, why talk about the family being with the cricketers? Why not speak about the cricketers? Because does the family being with them actually affect their schedule, the cricketer schedule?
Well, you tell me, how would the performance be affected if the families are with you? I mean, you're playing cricket on the field. You're playing the ball, not the bowler. You're not playing Sydney, or you're not playing anybody. You're playing Australia or England or South Africa. So you're playing teams, and I'm sure players are concentrating. You have families anyways back home or with you. How does it make a difference on the performance?
Okay. Okay, all right. Kirti Azad, thank you for joining us. Saying there should be a set rule. It shouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction after a terrible loss. It should be a decision that should be taken with a lot of thought. We have Gaurav Sethi, founder of boardcricket.com, also joining us. What do you think, Gaurav? Because there are two sides of it. Some who are saying, yes, harsh decisions need to be taken and we can do away with the families, with the cricketers the entire time. But Kirti Azad saying, let this not be a knee-jerk reaction.
So this was something which was taken many years back, where they said that wives and girlfriends will not be allowed on tour. This might be close to a decade back. And somewhere it was changed. Now, why was it changed? I think they need to address, why is this being put in place? Why was this put in place back then, other than just putting it? I think there is a part of the board which puts things in place, which reacts to results very often, but never gives a reason. It's almost like they speak in bullet points. Now, people do not speak in bullet points. Presentations are in bullet points. Now, are they at any point answerable for the defeat? I think we need to discuss, why did 3-0 or 3-1 happen? It feels like 3-0 now. It could have been 4-1. And what we must, in fact, try and address is that, yes, it was a bad series loss. The questions being asked are out there in the open, that the future of two senior cricketers is being questioned. Now, here, this is deflection, and that is something that the board is very good at. Nothing which was spoken about behind closed doors has come out in the open. What we are hearing is, sources said this and sources said that. That Rohit Sharma has said this and this is what will happen. Now, to me, it seems quite clear that this is being directed at Virat Kohli, because he is someone who does travel independently, but there are other players who also go with their families. Now, at some time, it was seen that it was good. Long tours are taking place and you need the comfort of family. It can be a very lonely place to be on tour in a foreign country. Now, we're not going on ship like it used to be earlier, but it's a long way away to Australia, different time zones. To come back later at the end of a day's play and to be with your family, there must be comfort, which is why. Now, whether it is the whole duration of the tour, 1/3 or half, please address it. The board needs to address and say why. What is the reason for something like this? Try and involve the people that love and follow this game for once, because that is something that they have done so beautifully over the course of the years, no matter how much they are minting as a board, and that is considerable, you know. The BCCI is 37 to 38% of what is made out, and chances are it will only go up.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to get another perspective as well. We have Lalchand Sitaram Rajput, the former Indian cricketer and also cricket coach. So to get a coach perspective as well as the BCCI makes this decision. Mr. Lalchand, what do you think of what the BCCI is mulling? Do you think that the entire attention is going towards the wives and the girlfriends and not exactly on the players who should be in the line of fire?
To be very honest, I think this was the case earlier also. Because normally the wives and the girlfriends, they only stay for a couple of weeks, you know. So that's fine. I think because if it's a long tour, definitely they require their family members to be with them. And I don't think any reason for that. But the BCCI said that they cannot be there for the entire tour. They can be there only for 2 weeks. So they must have got this thing that whole tour, if they are there, then they might be, I would say, not with the team bonding, because what happens when you're with your family, you're always with the family once the matches are over. So you get, and obviously, yes, you are.
Okay.
But I think the BCCI must have got some reason. That's why they have said that it will be only 2 weeks.
Okay, all right. Thank you for joining us. So some saying that team bonding takes a backseat where there are family members. And remember, this is a decision that has been taken previously as well, an idea that the BCCI has mulled previously as well. Thanking Karishma as well for joining us with all those details. Gaurav Sethi, thank you for joining us. Quick break now. We'll be right back.